I'm going to show you the specific pre-call process that helped us generate over $116,851 in cash in a single month for a creator, and exactly how you use either an online coach or creator could implement this exact same system into your business so that you have the highest show-up rate possible and the warmest leads possible in your calls. So let's break this down. So it first starts off with our type form. And basically, before anyone can actually book in the call, we ask them a couple questions. Most importantly, how much money they basically have, because we want to make sure that we're not just booking in tons of calls of people that potentially can't afford our product. We want the highest quality leads possible, and this filters that out essentially. So if you have more than $500 available, like any of these options here, you'll be then allowed to go ahead and book in the call and be redirected to a Calendly link. But if you don't, then your call won't be able to take place. You won't be taken to a Calendly page at all, and instead you'll be taken to our downsell mid-ticket offer. So if you are qualified, you're taken to the Calendly page where we then collect your email. And the reason why we have this in place is so we can, have an entire email sequence before the call to get you to show up. And then also, so we can obviously just like send you the link. Then we collect their Instagram as well, because essentially what we do is we create a group chat with the creator, the closer, and the prospect to build some more trust. And I will break that full process down in a second as well, but it's very, very effective. Then we also collect the phone number as well, so we can send them SMS reminders for the call. And also so that a triager can manually call them up and increase that show up rate too, which I will break down in a second as well. Then we also have another qualifying questions financially. And the reason why we do this is because we want to make sure there's some level of consistency between their previous answer, because people love to lie on these forms. And even though you might be asking, okay, well, what's stopping them from lying again on this form? Well, we don't worry, because the triager does overcome this issue as well, which I will explain in just a second. So once they've basically entered their details there, they're then taken to the post-booking confirmation page. And this basically makes it very, very clear to the prospect what's going to happen between now and before your call starts. And it starts off with the creator congratulating the lead, making them feel really special for booking in, for taking the first step towards getting towards their goals, and explaining fully what the call is about. So a roadmap for them to get to their goals and how we can help them overcome the issue or pain that they have right now. Then they're also made aware to look out for a group chat that will be made with them, the head coach, otherwise the closer, and the creator. And it also mentions that you'll receive a call from one of the coaches, which is the triager. And we specifically tell them it's a +1 800 number, because we want them to actually look out and not dismiss it, because people always get scam calls, always get random calls. So we drop the start of the number just so they can know to look out for that, to increase the chances that they will pick up. Then we also get them to write down what they're struggling with the most, and to put it in that Instagram group chat that we make, which I will break down why they do that in a second. And then we also ask the prospect to show up in a nice, quiet, and focused environment, because it's really, really bad when you have a lead that shows up in the car when they're driving or they're on a walk. They're not in a calm and focused environment. It makes it a lot harder for the closer to actually collect that cash. So we've set the frame before then to ensure they don't do anything like that. Then the next step is that we get them to go into their emails and to click yes. And the reason why is because this will then actually get the booked call to show up on their calendar, so they actually can't miss that they have the call in place. Then we have just basically a visual reminder of everything that was mentioned in the video above. And then the step 4 is to watch this podcast essentially. And we make this with every closer. And this basically, what this does is it builds trust and authority with the closer by introducing them with the creator in a live video, in a live conversation. And it also is there to pre-handle some common objections that we also get. So regarding time they need to input into this, the money they need to start up trading in this case, and that kind of thing. And then they're also instructed to watch the case study videos, the testimonials, because this makes sure that they are fully aware of the results that we have and how they can also work for them too. So once you've gone through this whole process, you're basically good to go, and everything else now is going to be handled by the sales team or by automation. So the setter or triager will do 2 things here. So let's first have a look at what the triager does. So once the person has booked in a call, we'll receive a Slack notification, and it basically just looks a bit like this. Tells how the lead came in, be it through a setter or through the funnel, and who the lead is, the name and the details. And the triager will call the lead up within 5 to 10 minutes of them booking them in. And this is very, very important that it's in this short time frame, a very short time span, because it's pretty much an exponential graph in terms of how the longer you leave it between the lead booking in and you actually making a touch-up point with them, the lower the chance there is of them actually picking up the phone. So speed to lead is incredibly, incredibly important. And we really dial this in with our sellers to make sure they are on top of this. Then, so the actual amount of times that the triager will call them up is 3, because some people can be on do not disturb, and essentially you have to call someone twice for the call to actually go through. So we have that one extra call there just in case they don't need their phone, so it's another call to increase the pickup there. So now there's 2 situations. They can either pick up or they don't pick up. So let's have a look at what happens if they pick up. If they do pick up, the triager will now run a 20-minute triage call. And what the triage call is just basically running them through a basic discovery process, building up some pain, building up some urgency before that call. And the main benefits of this is it's another touch point with the lead, which basically increases that show up rate. It's another physical point where they've been talking to a real person on the team. Then it really gets to paint the leads really pain and problem aware, because a lot of problems that some offers can have is you have these leads that manually book in themselves through the funnel, and you've had no communication with them, and they just show up to the call, and you have no idea on the level of warmth or what they've gone through. But with this triage, it's almost like a gatekeeper. So we only allow the best leads through, and before they get through that gate to the closer, they're incredibly hyped up and built. Their warmth is increased by having them talking about their pain, someone talking about building urgency and why they need to get help now, that kind of thing. But most importantly, this triage will double qualify the lead financially, because, but like I said on those two forms before, people can just lie on these forms, and they always do. So what this does is we actually get specific information out of them in terms of how much money they have, if they have credit, anything like that. We get the triage to get all of that information, because it's extremely useful in terms of how the closer should then pitch his offer, and that also increases the sharp rate, the closing rate too. Then an added bonus of the triage is that if they're highly skilled, which we train our triagers to have this, we get them to try and listen out for potential objections that the prospects might have. And we either get them to try and pry them a little bit, pre-handle them, or we get them to communicate that very clearly with the closer. So the closer goes into the call knowing, okay, this prospect had got scammed previously. So in the discovery, they can then go ahead and break this down. And then when they go ahead and pitch the call, it's much, the offer, they have, much less objections, because they already know the potential objection they might have. So this is really effective for increasing the closing rate. So yeah, that's pretty much what the kind of script roughly looks like. They go through a discovery, and then they go through basically a standard kind of sales script. But instead of pitching the call or an offer or a price, they're actually just pitched that they're allowed to go ahead and book in that call. And the reason why we have 20 minutes, people might think, well, that's quite a long time. It's so effective. We've seen it so heavily. We used to run them at 5 to 10 minutes, but there wasn't enough kind of rapport built up. There wasn't enough pain built up. And as soon as we changed it to 20 minutes, we were having much higher quality conversations. The show up rate increased as well. And the leads were much warmer, because they'd had so much more pain drawn out of them through a longer triage. And at the end of that triage, the setter will basically double check that they actually have gone through the pre-call page that I just showed you before, and that they actually went through the testimonials, that they also went through the pre-call video. And throughout this whole process, the triager will be making notes. So literally what their goals are, the exact details, 2K in checking, 1K in savings, 2K in crypto. We get specific details that you won't be able to get these on a form. So it's really important that you have the triager do this. And then pretty much they're posted on our Slack, and then the closer can see these before they jump on that sales call. So they have as much context as possible in the lead to make the closing process as smooth as possible. So that's what happens if they do pick up. If they don't pick up, then the setter will leave a message on either GHL. In fact, they do it on all of them. So GHL, iMessage, and WhatsApp. iMessage tends to be the case for a lot of American leads. And then in Europe, most people tend to use WhatsApp. So that's kind of what we opt in for there, depending on where they're from. And they basically leave a message saying, hey, it's, hey prospect, it's whoever the name is from X's team. Would now be a bad time for us to have a quick call to prepare for your meeting later today, or whenever the date is scheduled. They leave that message there. Then periodically throughout the day, they will call them up 3 times. So in the morning, middle of the day, and in the evening, to try and get them to pick up. And if they do not pick up by the end of the day before their call is, then their call will be canceled. It'll be told that it's canceled, and then it has to be rescheduled. And the reason why we do this, because you might be thinking, well, what happens if they just show up and they weren't able to contact you before? We don't want to have our closers taking calls where not all of them have actually been confirmed. So what we do is, if the lead is booked in for tomorrow and they haven't confirmed the day before, then they will be replaced with someone that has been confirmed from a later date. So 2-3 days from now, they'll be moved further up in the calendar. And what this means is that we collect as much cash as possible every day, and that the closers are having the best possible leads on their calendars and not going to have any issues with no-shows. So that's why we have that there in place. So that's pretty much what the triager will do. Then what the setter will do the minute the site notification comes in is they'll then create that group chat on Instagram. And they'll create it with the prospect, the closer, and obviously the creator. The setter acts as the creator. And they essentially copy paste the message saying, hey, this is my close partner, which is the closer, works super closely with me, just trying to build that authority and trust. Then the closer starts talking with the lead and basically gets them to make sure that they watch the pre-call assets, watch the testimonial videos, and then starts starting a conversation with them. So getting them to talk about what they struggle the most with, and even sending memes. We've seen this is quite effective in the group chat, is sending relevant memes, in the niche, in this case, trading memes, because it just builds that like a natural connection, like a friendly connection before that call, which again just builds the trust before the call and makes it a lot easier to close these leads. So that's pretty much what the sales team does to increase the shop rate and the close rate. Then we also have email and SMS reminders. So we'll have one 48 to 24 hours before, depending on when they booked in, and it'll just be a reminder both on email and SMS, 6 hours before, an hour before, and then 5 minutes before the call. And what we also sometimes get, depending on when the call is, we'll get the setter to manually call them up an hour before as well. But email and SMS reminders are effective, don't get me wrong, but genuinely the most pivotal thing you could possibly implement in your business is having a triager, because they're almost like the gatekeeper to your business. They literally allow the best leads to come through. They make sure they have money, they make sure they're super warm, and they make the closer's job so much easier. So I genuinely think this is the most pivotal thing that you could implement, and it's exactly what helps us do $116,851 in cash in that single month. So if this sounds like something you'd want help implementing into your own coaching business, then just go ahead and book in a call down below. I can break down your entire process right now and see what needs to be improved. And we can work together through that. And let's just say worst case scenario, if we can't work together, then at least you can walk away with that roadmap in place on how you can maybe improve your current info coaching business. So yeah, that's everything from me. Take care.